Welcome back. BKU, Ball Knowers University, episode 25. Shout out Barry Bonds, Richard Sherman, Giovanni Bernard. We are here. We have a national championship matchup set. The two merchandises on the screen right now.
House divided, baby. House divided.
House divided. Notre Dame Fighting Irish. The Ohio State Buckeyes. Does it get any more classic and traditional than that, Connor Beckman?
Nope, it does not.
This is hands down the biggest national championship game of each of our lives.
Yep.
It's for bragging rights. It's going to go down in history. This is the biggest game of our lives.
Since little kids.
Little 8-year-old boys. We were just cheering on teams that we had no idea would control this much of our lives here this far into our adulthood.
Yep.
It's a sketchy situation. I'm AJ. That's Connor.
Hi.
No Trevor tonight. That's probably, I think, 3 shows in a row he's not here.
It's like 5 weeks in a row.
Docking his pay or suspending him because I guess maybe we'll have to make him show up. That's punishment. And obviously, no surprise, Daniel Corbett not here tonight. He sounds a little hoarse right now. Call him a pony.
We get paid for this?
Anyway.
I'm going to have to talk to HR.
Today is Monday, January 13th, 2025. We have some semifinal games to discuss. The Orange Bowl, Cotton Bowl, both classic games. I think Orange Bowl probably overall a better game just because it came down to the wire, the very last seconds on a walk-off field goal. And then the classic Cotton Bowl between Texas and Ohio State, a matchup that we were very excited to have, and it lived up to the hype. I'd say for 58 minutes of the game, it was within one score. No team could pull away. And there were chances Ohio State could have made to kind of make it more of a blowout, but they didn't do it until late. So we'll get into both of those. Just two of us. Clayton Gerber. Shout out to him. Been waiting on the chat. I'm sure a lot of people have. Sorry for the delay, but had to get our stats and stuff written down. Connor, you got anything before we start tonight's show? Any big plans this upcoming week? What are we doing for the game? We're live streaming the game?
I don't know. I heard you want to come to my house because you've been watching it at different places and you want to continue to watch it at different places. So I don't know if you're going to get the invite.
Oh, well, I started at Danny's house. Watched that without Danny there. There was 3 of us. Live streamed the first part. Audio got muted from YouTube because the ESPN broadcast is going in the background.
Yeah.
So the audio is muted on that live stream. And then I went to Sarah's house. I watched the Rose Bowl with just her and I. And then this past weekend, if you want a rowdy Ohio State environment to watch the game with, watch at Danny Corbett's father's house. Because, my God,
Danny Corbett
they know how to drink, do they know how to get rowdy? Because it was definitely an experience. It was fun, though. We had a great time. Trevor ended up showing up late. But it lived up to the hype. And I'm excited for the national championship game Monday. We should live stream. We're going to get a lot of views if we do.
It's a big Monday. We got Martin Luther King Jr. Day, Inauguration Day, and National Championship Monday.
All in one day.
All in one day.
I'm off school that day.
I'm off work that day.
I will probably not be going to school the next day if things go my way.
I will be going to work either way.
Anywho. Yeah, we'll get right into it. The Capital One Orange Bowl was an all-time instant classic, ESPN classic.
Yep.
You know what the drill is. As soon as this game ended, that little meter, just like an NCAA 14, popped up. Instant classic, probably number 1. Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Late field goal, walk-off field goal. Mitch Jeter comes in clutch. He wins the game for him. 27-24, Fighting Irish heading to Atlanta, Georgia to take on the Buckeyes, like I mentioned earlier. This was a back-and-forth, even game the entire way. No team could pull away. Penn State jumped out to an early 10-0 lead. Very strong start. They could have made it worse a couple times, but Notre Dame, credit to them, Marcus Freeman. Every time you think, oh, this is where it's going to fall apart, they find a way. They gritty and toughness, everything about this team, losing injuries all year. They found a way, just like the rest of the season, to end up get off the mat. And shout out to Steve Angeli. That end of the second half, he leads a drive down there. When Riley Leonard gets taken out for concussion protocol, leads it down there. He ends up going, I believe, 6 for 7. I lost my stats.
I'll find it.
He goes 6 for 7, 44 yards on that last 2-minute drive before the second half. Gets him a field goal. Completely turns the game around for him.
Mm-hmm.
Your thoughts on the first half, Connor? Because for a second, I was cheering for Notre Dame hard, but they were like lifeless for a quarter.
Yeah, slow start. Seemed like a typical Notre Dame game. We always go off to these slow starts sometimes. And when I get nervous, I sit in the corner and I get quiet. I sit in my spot. I don't move. I don't talk. I don't say nothing.
Correct.
I was nervous. Offense couldn't get the ball rolling. Run game wasn't working for us, which was to be expected with Jeremiah Love only being 75%. Riley Leonard had a tough time trying to find some open receivers.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, it's just if we're going to win a national championship, you can't start off like that. You got to start off hot and keep it rolling for all 4 quarters.
Right.
You can't take a quarter off.
No, you can't. Especially against the high-powered offense that's going to be coming in to Atlanta with being downed for the last, I don't know how long since lost to Michigan, but talking about this game still, Riley Leonard, he played, I'd say, a B-plus game, an A-minus game for himself. He didn't light the world on fire, but you didn't need him to, because Notre Dame's defense, they played their asses off the entire game. Also, shout out to Penn State for doing the exact same thing. I mean, as even of a matchup as we could have had, it played out exactly how I assumed it was going to go. First half was very slow, low scoring, a big defensive affair. And that's kind of say through 3 quarters too, because there wasn't a lot of points until the fourth quarter, which we'll talk about in a second. But did you have any surprises with how the game shook out? Surprised with how Penn State looked. Drew Aller, he couldn't do anything that night.
It didn't. I didn't know this until after the game, and I sent it to you guys in our Instagram group chat. There wasn't a single pass completed to a wide receiver that game at all. It was all the tight ends and running backs, which Tyler Warren, correct?
Correct. Tight end.
That dude is a beast. I mean,
I don't know.
First round draft pick.
Yeah, I don't know where he's going to go up in the draft, but he had himself a game. That's all Aller could really look for was a safety blanket, and it was called Tyler Warren. He went 6 catches, 75 yards. Notre Dame did a good job at containing him and limiting him to as much as you could, because he's still going to find his own. Well, like Connor said, no catches for Penn State through, I think, the entirety of the game. I think the only one that even touched their hands was the laterals on the last play of the game, where it went touched the guy's hands and went out of bounds. Yeah, that was the only time. It's not like they didn't try to, but towards the end of the game, Drew Aller started forcing things, and obviously it threw an interception late that came back to haunt him.
I mean, you knew Tyler Warren was working for him, and they knew it was helping him out because they started running screens with him. Yeah, and they kept him in the backfield, and they were running Wildcat with him too. Right. They knew Notre Dame couldn't stop him. They were tackling him up high. I mean, there was one play I can remember that I think it was a corner or a safety came downhill to try and tackle him in the backfield, and it was an arm tackle up high, and Tyler Warren just absolutely stiff-armed him into the ground. Highlight reel play. So,
yeah, that's an all-star player. He's been making those plays all year, but when they get in the goal line, the refusal to give him the ball, it amazes me. I mean, I understand you have Nicholas Singleton and Katron Allen, But how do you not give that guy the ball more than just, I don't know, a touch every 2 drives? Is beyond me.
In reality, Penn State should have won that game because I forgot about this play till just now when they were in the red zone and they had that route in the flats, and Drew Aller threw the ball behind the receiver.
Mm-hmm.
And
he threw it low enough at his legs where he dropped it.
Yeah. And that could possibly win them the game if they completed that pass. And we'd be looking at a completely different national championship right now.
Right. We'll take it into the fourth quarter. It was 10-10. Both teams only got a touchdown, field goal, and you couldn't. No team could pull away. Could really, take full possession of the game until that fourth quarter, where we had a combined, I believe it was 31 points. Completely different. You have 20 points in the first 45 minutes of the game, and then lightning struck out in a bottle. It was 17-14.
Mm-hmm.
Jeremiah Love, the monsterish, that was the strongest 2-yard run I've ever seen in my life for a guy to just get a touchdown.
I mean, 75%. That dude was hurdling guys, and then he has that play where he just doesn't want to go down. I'm like, is he really 75%, or is he just that big, like a dog, and wanting to get in the end zone for this team?
Right. I mean, 2 yards. Was it 14 minutes left? I think in the game, it was early in the fourth quarter. They give Jeremiah Love. You have essentially a first-round pick and a dual Carter, and 3 other Penn State defenders on top of him, shoves a couple of them over, goes sideways towards the pylon, stiff arms a couple more, breaks 2 more tackles, and then somehow is able to reach the ball over the goal line and put the Irish up top. At that point, I think it was 20-something to 17. Or maybe it was 17-10. But
yeah, I think so.
And then quickly, Penn State responded in a 3-minute drive with Nick Singleton. He had 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, kept Penn State right in it. They got a turnover late. And then shout out to Jaden Greathouse. I mean, when you need plays in the fourth quarter, him and Riley Leonard stepped up. Riley Leonard went 5 for 7, 87 yards and a touchdown in the fourth quarter. Jaden Gatehouse, he had 81 receiving yards out of those 87 for Riley Leonard. And the big-time touchdown, I think it was 54-yard touchdown with 4 minutes left in the game. I know we were hyped.
I mean, we were confused at first, how is he that wide open? And then we went back and watched the replay. He absolutely snatched that DB's ankles.
He got the first one off the line, little hesitation, put him on his butt, and then as soon as he threw him the ball, he had one guy to beat. And one-on-one in college football, high school football, Pee Wee football, NFL, it is the toughest thing to do in all of football.
Oh, yeah.
Is to make a one-on-one tackle. And they couldn't quite do it. Put the score at, I believe, 24-all with 4.5 minutes left. Each team, I think, got the ball 2 more possessions in the last 4.5 minutes. And Penn State, they go down there, they have to punt after a few plays. Notre Dame, I think Riley Leonard, did he throw a pick? Or was it just they had a punt?
I'm pretty sure he threw it. I think he threw an interception.
Because I think he had 2 interceptions in this game, and one was late. And then Penn State turns around. They tried with 50-something seconds left. I believe Notre Dame had to punt. They had just sacked Riley Leonard. You're at your own 45-yard line. They punt it back. Drew Aller on the 25-yard line rolls to his left hash, turns, fires completely across body, 20 yards downfield to the right hash, and tries to complete a pass to wide receiver, which he hadn't done all night, and fires an interception that essentially ends their season.
Oh, I got it. I got you. So it was after that Gatehouse touchdown, it was a punt by Penn State, and then a punt by Notre Dame, and then the interception by Drew Aller, and then the field goal.
Yeah. And
I thought it was an interception late in the game by Riley Leonard, but I can't remember.
Yeah, they all kind of blurred together because no no quarterback really stepped up and made great throws late, except Riley Leonard's throw to Greathouse. That's exactly who he was targeting in the last 15 minutes of this game. He throws to Greathouse. As soon as they get the interception, he gets about 15 yards, sets the Irish up in a perfect position for a field goal. Give it to Jeremiah Love one time, and then you settle for the last 11 seconds. Let him tick down. Penn State called a timeout with 7 seconds left, and Mitch Jeter, shout out to him, 2 for 2 on field goals, both at the end of half and the end of regulation, and both 41-yard field goals, no gimmies. As soon as he kicked it off his foot, it tailed a little right, headed towards the post, and then hooked back left, drilled it.
Knuckleball motion.
The rest is history. Connor, take us into your reaction for that final kick. I know you, Garrett, every one of us in that basement, we were on the edge of our seat trying to watch that. Give me your thoughts. Going back to the national championship for the first time in 13 years.
Yeah. I was a nervous wreck. I said nothing. I was sitting up in my chair, like this the whole time, in a ball, like just saying he better make this kick. And I looked up at the TV and I saw the ball go. I saw the snap. Hold was good. Snap was good. Hold was good. The kick went up and it was going right for the goalpost. And I'm like, why is it every team that I cheer for, the ball, if it's a game-winning field goal, the ball is always going for the goalpost. Bengals, Notre Dame, Tennessee, whoever. I don't care who it is. It's always going for the goalpost, the team I root for. And I saw it go tail a little left, and I'm like, oh my God, no way. And I saw it go right through the uprights, and I'm like, did that go through? Is it good?
Finally.
And I was like, I didn't have like a major reaction, but it was a sigh of relief. I figured, we should probably win that game by a lot more if we were like full strength, like 100%. But I'm glad he made it. I'm glad we had the game we had. It'd be one to remember for a while. Something I could tell my kids about or my grandkids about. But yeah, going back 13 years. Hopefully
I guess 12 years. The 2013.
12, yeah. 12, 13, whatever.
Yeah. Felt like an eternity.
Yeah. It's been a while. Hopefully we don't get embarrassed like we normally do. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm ready for it.
Yeah. Other key team stats in the games. Like I said, pretty dead even as far as time of possession. Third down conversions. Notre Dame was 11 for 17. Penn State, 3 for 11. You're not going to win games when you can't convert third downs like that. Points off turnovers. Penn State did 10 points to Notre Dame's 3. The one that surprised me the most was average yards per carry. Penn State had almost 5 yards a carry. Notre Dame, 2.8.
That's not normal.
No, especially with all the injuries on the offensive line, you'd think stuff like that adds up. So you had to turn to Riley Leonard, and you had to at least have him make throws to keep you in the game. And explosive plays, which he did multiple times, especially to Mitchell Evans and Jaden Greathouse. So those guys played their butts off. They're going to a national championship because of it. And Marcus Freeman, the job he's done that Brian Kelly thought no one could do there at Notre Dame. Shout out to him. He's played his butt off. Also a Buckeye. Shows you the grit, toughness, and integrity of that guy. No one you're happier for. I think if you ask every college football fan in America who's a coach you root for, that's not your own. And I think a lot of people would say Marcus Freeman.
And if the rumors are true that are going around today, I really hope he doesn't go to that job interview because I really like him at Notre Dame.
I think he'll at least interview with him. I don't think he wants the job. Even if he does, Notre Dame's going to extend him and pay him more just to see what the offer is.
Well, have you seen how much money Notre Dame is racking in per playoff game?
Oh, I believe it. And they don't have to share that with anyone.
No.
That's huge. Any other thoughts on the game or upcoming game for you?
I don't know. You want me to go deep in the national championship game, or are we going to talk about a little bit about it later?
We'll talk about Ohio State, Texas before we do too much in-depth look at
it. Go into that game, and then we'll talk more.
Yeah. Other thing on Notre Dame and Penn State, great game. Definitely, I think the best overall start to finish playoff game we've had out of all, I guess, 10 games so far. Got one more left. It's hard to live up to that one. That one's as good as it's going to get. But I'm hoping the national championship's just as good. I hope it goes a certain way compared to the other way. But
I know you don't like this format, but I do. I like it.
I understand.
It gives you more football to watch every week. Some of the games are exciting. I just like the SMU Boise State. I just think someone else should have been in the mix instead of them. But
yeah,
I don't know what you're going to do there about that because
teams screwed their chance for getting in. That was on the SEC. A lot of those teams that were on the bubble, that was on them more than anyone else. But you did have blowouts. But you have blowouts on the wild card. It's not that I hate the format as much as I hate the setup of it. I think 12 teams is just too much. I think 8 would be good. I like 4. I think 6 would have been perfect. But it is what it is. We have it. It's exciting. I'm not going to decline that. My team's playing a national championship because of this format, just like yours. Like in a 14 playoff, neither of our teams would have a shot, which I'd be fine with because the regular season they did what they did. But we'll move on.
Yeah.
The Goodyear Cotton Bowl from Dallas, Texas happened Friday night. The Ohio State Buckeyes. They beat the Texas Longhorns 28-14. And I would say also instant classic. The score doesn't represent what exactly happened. It was close. It was tough game. I mean, 14-14 down to 2 minutes left in the game. And then you got, or maybe not 2 minutes left, but Quinshon Judkins, I think his second touchdown of the game. Ohio State, they put together a really good touchdown drive late in that game. And Texas they were driving down the field late, had a chance to win it, or at least tie it. Quinn Ewers, he let them down there. They get down to the 1 yard line on a back-to-back pass interference calls. Excuse me. And don't get the first down run. You ran it first down. They do a toss on second down and goal from the 1 yard line, lose about 6 yards. And from that point on, Ohio State's goal line defense all year has been incredibly tough to stop or for people to get score on. And Texas couldn't do it. The 83-yard strip sack fumble from Jack Sawyer on fourth down sealed the game for the Buckeyes, and they're going to a national championship because of it. I know, Connor, you didn't get to watch this game. You were snow plowing. We had a lot of snow that night.
Yeah.
But you did get to listen to a lot of it. Do you have any key takeaways from Texas, Ohio State? I thought Quinn Ewers played one of his better games against really, really good defense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they got after him, though. They had a couple sacks. Your thoughts from the Cotton Bowl?
Yeah, like you said, Quinn Ewers probably played one of his best games. But I'm probably going to stick to my point still because every time I say it, I feel like he gets better and better every week. I don't believe a word he says, though, about he doesn't hear the noise about where he's going to go next year, if he's going to go to the draft or if he's going to go somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
I think he knows what he wants to do. I think he's going to transfer somewhere else. I don't think he's going to go to the draft.
Yeah.
Ohio State, I was kind of in and out of it because I'm getting in and out of the truck. I'm missing points and stuff like that. But I assumed they had a great offensive game. I think it was kind of,
They
go ahead.
They were able to start drives, move down the field, and then self-inflicted penalties or mistakes, such as holding calls. Travion Henderson on the second drive of the game, you're doing great. You're moving down the field. They're starting to target different receivers. And Travion Henderson just pushes a Texas defender in his face mask. I guess he was talking trash to him, but so uncharacteristic by him. Cost them 15 yards, goes to second and 25, and from that point on, they had a punt there, and then the drive stalled after drive stall after drive stall, and they couldn't really get back to it. I will say Texas had a great strategy of double teaming and bracketing Jeremiah Smith the entire game. He was limited to one catch for -3 yards.
Really?
Or not -3 yards. I think it was just 3 yards. One catch, 3 yards. It was on the first drive of the game. They targeted him 2 more times. One was on the second drive. He had a double covered. The ball kind of got there early. It was going too fast. He couldn't get his hands on it quite there. And then one he forced or Will Howard tried getting him the ball in the third quarter. He just stared down the receiver, and the linebacker kind of jumped up and snagged it. And they couldn't get him the ball. But you know who they could find? Carnell Tate. He had 7 catches, 87 yards, dropped a touchdown the first drive. Emeka Buka had 5 for 51. And then G. Scott Jr., 5 catches, 30 yards. They also targeted the running backs very well. The big one, I forgot about this until just now. Texas had just tied the game up with about 29 seconds left before halftime. Ohio State's got 2 timeouts. I look at Danny. We're watching the game. I go, you think they'll be aggressive here? Texas, on the most untimely play, I don't know why you do this. They rush 3 defensive linemen. They blitz a cornerback. Guess what happens? 3 linemen drop down. Travion Henderson sitting right there. He makes one move. He follows blockers. They block guys. Makes one guy miss. 75 yards. Touchdown. 13 seconds left before halftime. That had to have been a dagger to Texas Longhorn fans' hearts. When you just tied the game up, you spent 30 minutes trying to get tied up, trying to be even going into halftime, and then you let that play happen. Oh, I would hate that. I would hate that if it was the other way around.
Yeah, I don't know. There was a point where I got out of the truck and I got back in. Every time I got out, I'd turn it up so I could hear it while I was walking around doing my rounds. And it was the strip sack fumble at the end of the game. I just remember hearing the reaction. I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to get back in the truck. So I run around the back of my truck. I get in and I close the door and I shut it. And he's like, Jack Sawyer to the 20 to 30. And then he this guy. I don't know what he's talking about. He don't know ball. Anyways.
Yeah. Shout out Clayton.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, Ohio State's going to win this game. And they did. I was kind of disappointed I had to work that night. I wanted to watch it with you guys, but
I know. It was unfortunate.
I watched highlights and seeing Ryan Day run down that sideline after everything they've went through since Michigan. This team is a completely different team. Like
he's a win away from a national championship. When not even a month and a half ago, people wanted him fired. I get it's the Michigan thing. I understand it. I understand it's perfectly adjustable to be like, we don't like this guy. He has a problem, and it's one of your 2 biggest goals every year. Compete for a national championship and beat Michigan. Not in that order. And he hasn't been able to do one since 2019. And when that happens, fan base starts to turn on you. But with this new playoff format, it gives teams a second chance, much like this one. And the second chance right now for Ryan Day has worked out in his favor. He's got a chance to do something that he's been trying to do for 6 years now.
I saw something last night on, I think it was Twitter, and I thought it was funny. It said Jack Sawyer will never have to pay for anything in Columbus ever again.
Yeah.
And someone commented underneath of it. He said, well, he's going to have to buy a pair of gold pants.
Yeah. That's the unfortunate truth about it.
Yeah. But, yeah, I just, being friends with you guys and you guys always being Ohio State fans, I always try and root for Ohio State too. But it's just tough when seeing you guys go and get all excited for this Michigan game and then they go and shit the bed. Like they could have the most perfect season right now, probably be in the best spot and probably be, I don't even know. If Notre Dame were to make it right now, they'd probably be 12.5-point favorites. If Ohio State was undefeated, perfect throughout the season, or it could be like everybody else, how everyone had first round buys this year and they could have lost in the second round.
Also true. A loss can sometimes be a blessing for some teams. I'm not saying that a loss to Michigan is something that you'd want or something that you needed as a wake-up call, but sometimes it lights a spark on the team. It gives you the fire you need, and these players that they're going to go winless against Michigan as seniors, but you have a shot to become a legend as an Ohio State Buckeye, to be the first team ever to win a national championship after losing to the team up north, which it's bittersweet. I understand. And the bitter is probably a lot more than the sweet part.
Does winning the Natty this year make everyone forget the loss to Michigan?
It won't make them forget, but it's essentially putting a Band-Aid on a stab wound. If that makes sense. Or maybe like a broken heart.
Gotcha.
Because that was more of a shock than it was like a damn again. But this one was like there's a problem. But they turned it around, they turned a new page, and they're playing like a team that has had this much talent for the last 3 years. They're finally playing the 5-star game every week. This game they played last week against Texas was the same feeling I had when they played Michigan. It was like a phone booth fight. They were getting punched in the mouth. Things weren't going your way. You're having holding penalties. You're getting unsportsmanlike conduct penalties. The ball's not bouncing your way. Texas had 2 fumbles, one on a punt return, bounced right back to the guy, and a sack on Quinn Ewers early in the game. The ball bounced right back to him. So they didn't get their bounce until the end of the game. Jack Sawyer's fumble was the real turning point and kind of the nail in the coffin for the Texas.
I thought the cool thing was about that is Ewers and Sawyer were both college roommates their freshman year at Ohio State. I thought that was pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. Because you imagine going into your freshman year. I'm sure you had freshman year roommates. Imagine doing that, going away for 4 years and coming back and the biggest game of your life and having a strip sack touchdown against that guy.
Right.
And then I saw people complaining about Quinn Ewers just laughing and giving him a wink after the touchdown.
I mean, I get it. You're competitive out there on the field, but at the same time, you got to have fun with it. You got to enjoy it with it because
it's just a game.
You're 18 years old. You're going into the unknown.
Right.
I'm sure everyone's got that experience. You're going into the unknown. You don't know what adulthood's like, what being on your own's like. All you got is your roommates and your teammates for football. So they've developed a bond together, and I'm sure they talk all the time outside of football.
Yeah.
So it's like,
especially when he's coming from Texas to Ohio, that's not exactly an easy turnaround. I'm assuming.
No.
Two different landscapes as far as culture and having your friends and family there, like you said.
Well, right now it's probably about the same because it's pretty cold in Texas right now.
Big things from the game. Shout out to Texas with Quinn Ewers. Like I said, 23 for 39. He did have 1 interception. It was late in the game. I know Caleb Downs had like a diving pick on the final drive for Texas. 283 and 2 touchdowns for him. He did get 4 sacks. This Buckeye defense got after him. He had a lot of pressures on him too. The big one through the pass game for Texas was he kept finding running backs left and right. They combined for, I believe, 11 catches, over 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. Contravion Wisner had 6 for 42. Jaden Blue had 5 for 59. He had 2 touchdowns, one on the wheel route, and then I believe another one in the flats. That was their bread and butter to get back into the game and tie the game twice. That was their 2 touchdowns was to Jaden Blue. They couldn't rush the ball at all. They averaged 2 yards a carry, which this Ohio State Buckeye defense has been doing so well the entire year. This defense might be my favorite that I've ever seen. I've watched from Ohio State. They had a really good one in 2019, and last year's was really good. But this year's, all the guys coming back, and then still adding guys like Igman Osen a couple years ago and Caleb Downs. Caleb Downs is a freak. He is one of the best athletes I've ever seen put on a Buckeye uniform, and it's his first year there. They're only having 1 more year before he can go to the draft, so it's going to be sad to see him go next year, but we do get another one, thankfully. Another thing, 12 combined punts in this game, 6 for each punter. They each went over 250 total punt yards. Longest for both of them, 46 for Joe McGuire for the Buckeyes, and then 51 for Texas punter Michael Kern. 3 inside the 20 for Texas, 2 inside the 20 for Ohio State. Each averaged 43 yards a punt. I mean, Trevor was happy. I know that.
Yeah, I'm sure Trevor was fired up about that.
Oh, yeah. Jim Tressel in a recent podcast with John Gruden, he said, the most important play in football is a punt. And those guys played their butts off. No block punts. They didn't give up very many returns. If they did, it was only about 8 yards each. Like I said, great game. Going from here, the Buckeyes defense, Notre Dame's defense. This is going to be a legendary college football national championship game.
I hope it is.
Because this is, like I said, I've said it on past episodes, but the best things about college football is the pageantry, the tradition, and the rivalries. What's more traditional than Notre Dame football and Ohio State Buckeye football? Nothing. Maybe a band.
Well, you're talking. If you bring in band into this, you're talking about the best damn band in the land and the first college band ever.
Yeah.
I mean,
Ohio State, yeah.
You got 2 teams with very, very rich traditions.
Rich history, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
these are the 2 biggest fan bases in college football.
Yeah.
Probably the 2 most hated fan bases, I'd assume. Because a lot of people hate Notre Dame, and a hell of a whole lot of people hate Ohio State. The fans is something. The fans, I almost hate my own or a whole fan base because there's a lot of bad nuts out there.
Since we're getting on that topic, you weren't there, but we went to Satch's Saturday night. And there's this guy there, and I'll give you the whole backstory later about it, but there's more to it than this. I'm just giving the short rundown of it.
Yep.
I got caught up in a conversation outside of Satch's with a bunch of other guys. I walk in and I see Danny talking to this one guy at the bar. And he's an Ohio State fan, which typical, small town, you're going to run into that. Well, he's talking about Ohio State, and he's talking, we're going to kick Notre Dame's ass, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So I get in the bar stool, I sit down, I get myself a drink, and he keeps on talking about it. And he's talking and talking and talking. I'm like, all right, I got to get out of here. Well, then Danny brings me into it, and he's like, this guy's a Notre Dame fan. I'm like, oh, here we go. So I got the whole 15-minute story, how they're going to beat our ass, this and that, blah, blah, blah. I don't get that a lot from you guys. It's other people that I don't talk to. If I'm wearing this hat out in public, they'll start talking to me about how we're trash, this and that. You guys, I hate you guys, this and that. I'm like, dude, just that's why sometimes I don't like Ohio State is because of the fans.
Oh yeah,
everyone I'm friends with, I'm cool with about it. They're cool with me about it. I'm cool with them. We talk our trash. It's cool.
Yeah.
But if I don't know you and you start doing that, it makes me hate Ohio State even more.
Yeah. I think if I wasn't a fan of Ohio State, I'd hate the fan base. I'd hate the team too. I completely understand it. It's like Duke basketball. It's like the Yankees in baseball.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the Eagles in football.
Right.
Fan bases are awful. They're horrible. They're annoying. I saw a video today of an Eagles guy that was giving this girl crap for just clapping after a review that went their way. He called her, I'm not going to say it on here, but called her something not nice. And that's just like, why do that? What is the point? There's no point to be rude. I get it. You can have your fun banter back and forth. But to be a dick about it, I don't understand at all.
Mm-hmm.
You give your whole fan base a bad rep, and it doesn't go away. Bad karma, too. You don't want bad karma.
No.
Fred's saying the Texas-Ohio State game, said a little bit, but Ohio State penalties, they had 9 for 75 yards. You're not going to win too many games like that. Texas did have 5 for 54 as well, which kind of helped They had unsportsmanlike conduct in that game. A couple more holding penalties. Other big ones, their defenses for both Texas and Ohio State were that good that 3 for 10 on third down for Ohio State, not good. 5 for 15 for Texas, also not good. It was an even game, I'd say, for most of it. If you take away the turnovers and penalties, it could be a different game. I think Ohio State could have had a bigger lead if they didn't cost themselves a few drives. But that's neither here or there. We can move on to a little bit of a preview for Ohio State and Notre Dame, the national championship. We'll probably save our prediction show until Danny's healthy or Trevor's healthy. But what are you most excited for this matchup? Because I have a couple things, but I'll let you go first.
Just the fact that, it's Marcus Freeman's third year as a head coach. There was a stat I saw on Twitter. Of course, I'm always scrolling on Twitter at night. Going back to Frank Leahy, his third year coaching, he won a national championship. Ara Parseghi, third year, won a national championship. Dan Devine, same thing. Lou Holt, same thing. And now Marcus Freeman, his third year, he's going to a national championship. Will he win it? I don't know. We'll find out Monday.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. When Brian Kelly told Notre Dame, like the community, fans, players, he said he wasn't going anywhere. And then he turns around and takes a job at LSU for a hell of a lot more money, which I don't blame him. He wanted to go somewhere where they could win a national championship.
Where he thought they could win a national championship.
Yeah, where he thought they could win a national championship. So here we are, left, no head coach. Whole fan base is distraught about it because they thought Brian Kelly was the next big thing. Some people wanted him to go. Some didn't. I didn't want him to go. I thought he was a good coach. He just needed the right players, but he wasn't getting them at the right time.
I mean, 10 wins a year, 95% of programs are going to take that.
Right.
Which he did at Notre Dame.
And he took him to a national championship, a BCS national championship against Alabama. Of course, we got our butts whooped in that game, but that year was probably one of the best years of my life with watching Tyler Eifert and Manti Te'o. But anyways, besides that, so now they bring in this defensive coordinator, Marcus Freeman, who is from Wayne, Ohio, Dayton Wayne.
Mm-hmm.
Played at Ohio State. I didn't know who the guy was when they hired him. And then I got to reading about him. And I saw the reaction. There's a video of him coming into the locker room and seeing that reaction of those players, of him being announced as the new head coach, was awesome. And I knew he was going to have probably the best career at Notre Dame. He's going to have one of the best careers.
Mm-hmm.
Started off shaky start, lost to Ohio State, lost to Syracuse, and everyone's already down this guy. He sucks. Went on, won out the rest. Or no, he lost to Louisville that year too, I think.
Yeah,
last year. Yeah.
Yep.
So now this year, fast forward to this year, starts off the season good, big win on the road, Texas A&M.
Yeah, big SEC win.
Yeah. Turns around and loses to NIU in a MAC school. Everyone's like, well, season's over. Well, this team took that game and used that to fuel the fire, and now look where we're at. We're at a national championship. Hopefully can win. So I'm looking forward to it to see how this team competes. It'll be one to remember. Hopefully it turns out good in our favor. Hopefully it's a classic.
Yeah.
Like I told you before, I want to see Notre Dame win a national championship in my lifetime. And my uncle's the same way. We were talking about it yesterday at dinner. He wants to see Notre Dame win a national championship in his lifetime. Because he didn't get to see the 1988 one, and they've been to plenty more since then, but they just haven't won.
Right.
So I want to see him win the big game. That's just what I think. So
yeah, I can't blame you. It's been a long time since they have. It's been 37 years, which is Crazy.
Mm-hmm.
This is the, let's see, 4th time that they've played since we've been old enough to actually remember.
Mm-hmm.
The last 2 years, they've been relatively close. Last year, obviously, the 10-man on the field and
Killed.
the last play of the game.
The first half of that first game was pretty good, and then Ohio State just turned on the fucking Jets and mollywopped us. But it is what it is.
Yeah, the defense, Ohio State's defense, they played well in all 3 matchups. I mean, Notre Dame held them to a short number last year. 2015 Fiesta Bowl was bad.
Yeah.
Jalen Smith tearing his ACL, costing him essentially his NFL career.
Yeah.
He came back, but was never really the same player.
Mm-mm.
But, yeah, I don't think it's any secret. Ohio State's 6-0 against Notre Dame since, 1933, I think?
Yes.
So, obviously, for that reason, you want it on top of the national championship itself.
Mm-hmm.
Key matchups already. I mean, we got a week from tonight. This time next week, we'll be watching it. We'll be live streaming it. I'm coming to Connor's. We're live streaming it.
He's coming to my house. This is the invite.
Right?
Garrett will not be here. No.
He'll be at school. Should just be us two.
Yeah.
Maybe Trevor.
Trevor might, unless he works.
I think he said he might take off. But we'll give you our reaction. It's literally Ohio State. One of the biggest Ohio State fans, one of the biggest Notre Dame fans you'll see. Oh, my God. The numbers we'll have on that. But big ones. Riley Leonard, Will Howard. 2 transfer quarterbacks. A year ago, they weren't at these programs. One was in Kansas State, or just announced he transferred from Kansas State, and one from Duke. Announced he's transferring. 2 of the nicest guys you'll probably meet as quarterback. They seem like genuine guys.
Mm-hmm.
They are Christ first guys. If you see interview, they do. They think they're Lord and Savior Jesus Christ first. Very happy, very cheery. I think Riley Leonard might get the slight edge in who you'd want to be leading your team. I don't know. They're pretty even, though, from what I've seen. They both made their mistakes. They both made great throws. Deep ball has been pretty decent in the playoffs. And then the other big matchup. No team plays a more efficient style of man coverage football than Notre Dame's defense. No offense does better against man coverage defense than Ohio State's wide receivers. The big 3 with Smith, Ibuka, and Tate. That's a tough 3 if you're going to play man on it. Texas gave you the blueprint of how to win the game, or at least have a shot to win the game. Michigan did as well. You want to shrink your possessions. You want to steal a possession. And you want to make Ohio State makes the mistakes that will cost them in the end. Because if Ohio State gets the ball first, then guess what? Will Howard's likes the one-on-one matchup, but he doesn't see a safety up top or something, and you guys steal possession, make them play catch-up, make them scared, make Ryan Day and Chip Kelly sweat a little bit. That defense is going to be tough the entire game, so Riley Leonard's going to have to be on his A game. So is Jeremiah Love. It's going to be tough to run on either defense. It's going to be tough to throw on either defense. When I saw the total was 45.5, I thought that was a little too much. Still, Ohio State's 8.5-point favorites that open at 9.5. It's kind of moved back and forth. Where do you see the biggest matchup? Do you think Notre Dame's DBs can hold Ohio State here? Does Will Howard, does he have one of his terrible decision throws? He's had one every game.
Howardism.
Yeah. Does it happen here?
I'm going to assume that they're going to put Christian Gray on Jeremiah Smith. I don't know if I like that or not, because ever since the UFC game, I haven't been a fan of him.
Yeah.
I feel like he gets burnt too easily. He's like Cam Taylor-Britt.
Yeah. Makes a play, but he definitely gives up some.
Yeah. Xavier Watts, I think you're going to see him shade over to Jeremiah Smith's side a little bit more. That leaves Ibuka and
Carnell Tate
open.
Well, you got to worry about Leonard more.
Yeah.
He's a hell of a player, too.
Yeah. But I don't know. You got to stop the run too. Like I've told you multiple weeks in a row. Stop the run, no big plays, and you have yourself a chance.
Yeah.
The big plays are going to happen. I get it, but as long as you limit them to minimal numbers, I think you'll be all right.
Yeah.
Same thing for Ohio State. If you don't let Riley Leonard connect on long balls, you have a chance to win the game too.
Yeah.
You stop Jeremiah Love, you have a chance. You keep Notre Dame from just trying to run the ball all over you with Jeremiah Love or Jermaine Price, correct? I think I got his first name right. I know his last name's Price. Those two are like David Montgomery and what's that other one? Yeah, Jahmyr Gibbs for the Lions. Those two are like Sonic and Knuckles for Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm. Jeremiah Love.
Yeah.
Oh, not Jeremiah. Who was I looking at?
Jadarian
Price.
Jadarian Price.
That's
I was
right.
thinking Jermaine for some reason. I was close. Jay,
Yeah.
whatever. But I'd say it's a pretty even matchup. But if Notre Dame comes into this game like they have in past national championships, and lay a absolute goose egg, we're not going to have a chance. I remember the story that Manti Te'o told when they were in the tunnel before the Alabama game in the BCS national championship. They had to wait for Alabama to take the field first because Notre Dame was the 1 seed.
Mm-hmm.
And Alabama was coming out of the tunnel and Notre Dame was waiting on them, and they were crossing at the same time. And Manti Te'o says he remembers looking back at his teammates and their eyes were massive because they've never seen a team that big.
Scared to death, yeah.
Yeah, they're scared. So I hope they come into this game thinking we got a chance. As long as you think you have a chance, you have a good chance of winning. So,
and I don't think there's a better coach to motivate his players to make them think they have a chance or have a shot as much as they do, because they do, than Marcus Freeman. Because, like I said, players coach. You saw that video, like you said earlier, of how hyped that team was to see that they were getting hit. Their coach, he was a great players coach at UC, led them to a playoff. He's just a guy it looks like you want to play for. He's so humble, so genuine, much like his quarterback. Yep. And that's a guy you want to play for, a guy you want to win. And every halftime interview throughout the playoffs or post-game interview, he's had a confidence about him that he's like, he knows his team's going to perform well and they're going to pull it out. And this team's kind of motto of the entire season is find a way to win. And they have a will to win. Since the NIU game, they have been heads down, heads forward, the eyes on the prize type of mentality. And they're no looking back. And Ohio State's been the same this entire playoffs. They're finally getting their pass rush. They have 16 sacks in the postseason compared to Michigan and Oregon where they got 0 sacks. That's kind of been the difference for them all postseason right now. And it's going to be a fun matchup.
I say it's a pretty even matchup we got going. So
yeah, I think defensively, with Ohio State's offensive line still with all the injuries, they can finally give up a couple sacks, which against Texas D-line, it's expected. And I think Notre Dame's is very good as well. So I think that's the way Notre Dame can find a way to win this. And I'm excited to watch it. We'll see if Ohio State can actually use the receivers to their advantage, unlike Jeremiah Smith being double-teamed the entire game against Texas. So you have anything else before we go?
No. We'll see you guys. What were we thinking? Wednesday, Thursday, maybe?
We'll try Wednesday.
If
not, we'll move to Thursday. So just be prepared.
Yeah.
But, we'll give our predictions that day. We might do a little season review things or everything on that show. I'll figure something out for us. If you have nothing else and I have nothing else, I'm Andrew.
I'm Connor.
That's Connor.
I'll hit him with Danny saying hemorrhoids.
We don't know ball.
No, we don't know.
Big old matchup coming up. I'm excited, ecstatic. Thursday and Friday were awesome. I hope Monday is going to be even more awesome. Do I continue picking against the Buckeyes? Do I finally think Ohio or Notre Dame could pull off a national championship. Something I didn't think I'd say I'd seen coming ever, or at least not now. It's exciting. It's an exciting time to be alive. It's an exciting time to be a college football fan like we are.
Mm-hmm.
This is BKU, Ball Knowers University. We don't know ball.
Nope.
We'll be back. If that's it. Good night. Take care.
Hemorrhoids.
See you on
Hemorrhoids.
Wednesday night.